Hey, it's Damon Brown of DamonBrown.net, and welcome to the Bring Your Worst Show. Let me go and get things together real quick, uh, especially on Amazon. And sorry for the chair in the back. I'm doing some some reconstruction. Reconstruction. Let's just call it cleaning in my office. You see, my man John Coltrane in the corner. We share a similar birthday. Obviously, me several decades later, and then my man James Baldwin, who, if you know his work, you understand why I love him. Welcome to the Bring Your Worst Show. We come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I told you I'm reorganizing. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, Vegas time. I'm trying to give you the best insight as a side hustler, a solopreneur, a non-traditional entrepreneur, someone who's trying to make an impact on the world based on the resources they got. As I say in my books, become a bite-sized entrepreneur, how you can build from now, how you can, the logo's in the corner, the new book, Career Remix, get the gig you want based on the skills you've got. And really trying to make an impact on y'all so that we can move things into a better direction. And I come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as I mentioned, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you can subscribe now for free. And as far as I can tell, looking into the vision of the future, it will always be free. It's currently on YouTube at youtube.com/Brown Damon. You click the link below. Excuse me. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Amazon, wherever, you click the link right below my face and go ahead and subscribe. I just hit a major milestone with subscribers, and the show's been around for just over a year. We're about to have our 200th episode any day now. I calculated, I think it's going to be around Valentine's Day. So in about 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks. Yeah. So I'm excited that y'all are supporting my journey as I support yours. I just have a new book that came out, as I mentioned, called Career Remix. Get the gig you want based on the skills you've got. Sorry, on Amazon, you can actually click the link below. You also see the other books that we're featuring right below where I'm talking. If you're on the other platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, what have you, then you just click on the links below and it'll be all in the description. And you can check out Career Remix. Again, get the gig you want based on the skills you've got. Came out about a week ago. Excuse me. Thank you for the love. I just finished the audiobook. If you've been following me on socials or if you've been getting my newsletter for free at joindamon.me, then you know I've been in the booth. So between like allergies as well as like being in the booth, man, doing an audiobook is tough. This is Career Remix is actually my 8th audiobook. You can check out my audiobooks on Audible or all the major platforms. I have my own publishing imprint called Bring Your Worth, so you kind of see the pattern here. But all the audiobooks I did beforehand were DIY. If it wasn't messy, I could actually turn right here and show you where I recorded the Build From Now audiobook. Again, the book that came out a year ago. Excuse me, came out just about a year ago, January 28th. I recorded that one in the booth right over there, if you want to call it a booth, more like a closet. Excuse me. But that's completely different. It's DIY. It's, again, my own publishing print. With Career Remix, the new book, I actually did it with a traditional publisher who I worked with many, many years ago before I had my own imprint. And they recently were renamed Union Square and Company. I worked with them in their previous name, so the artist formerly known as, but they're a subsidiary of Barnes & Noble. And so it's very much like getting the energy, the ideas, the bigger things I want to do into a bigger system. And I'm starting to do bigger keynotes. I have my coaching practice, private coaching practice at damonbrown.net, and learning how to navigate on a higher scale. And that, as you know, if you're familiar with the show, if you've read any of my work, you know I'm really into partnerships, particularly those that are mutually beneficial, which, if it's a good partnership, that's what it means. And so with Union Square and Co, it really was a good partnership. Because I was doing the launch and doing the audiobook, then I actually went to a traditional studio and worked with an engineer and all these things that if you do any DIY work, stuff that's a luxury. Again, like, my kids like helped me put up the soundproofing material in my closet. I paid for like the mic myself. I learned how to do different audiobook tools and had some partnerships, but for the most part, it was 98% me. And it's different when you're working with other people. So I'm losing a voice because the level to do this 65,000 word book in a traditional studio right in downtown Las Vegas, right down the street from me. It's different, you know, hence my cough. So that's my very long way of saying that. Apologies for any coughing on the way. I'm working with my tea right now. I'll do a later episode where I'll talk about the DIY audiobook experience. If you're into that, which compares comparable to podcasting, if you want to be a podcaster, versus the professional experience where you have like a team. Like I had a team in the booth with me. And so the level that I performed was actually higher, even though I take a lot of pride in doing things myself. But sometimes you got to work with other people to get to the next level. Anyway, the Career Remix live launch was exactly a week ago. Thanks to y'all. Thanks to y'all who supported it. Oh, there goes my voice again. And if you want to catch a replay, you can catch that. I also do an exclusive excerpt of the book. I believe I ended up reading the intro to the book, which I'm really proud of. A lot resonate with a lot of y'all, so I appreciate that. So you're not too late. You can go and check it out. All right, so enough of the long prelude. I want to say prologue, but I think it's prelude. It might be both. Depends on if you're reading or if you're listening. All right, today I'm bringing a word. How to get centered today. I'm going to be real with y'all. I came up with this concept talking about how to get centered today, because I usually have a theme when I do the Wednesday shows. All the Wednesday shows are live. So if you see a show on Wednesday, it's me talking to you live. You can do the comments below. Feel free to do that. You know, do the claps or whatever. If you do on LinkedIn, I will check them out. Ditto on Amazon and come through. And then I have the pre-recorded show, the pre-recorded shows on Monday and on Friday, you know, which are a big part of the catalog. So for the live shows, they're a lot more fluid. And I usually will come up with those concepts about what I want to talk to y'all about live and correspond with y'all about based on the themes of that week. And it's funny because two things happen. The first thing is that Hanh actually passed away, who's the author of the book, No Mud, No Lotus, Buddhist monk. I want to say he was like 93, 94. So he lived a very long life. He was the inspiration, one of the inspirations for Martin Luther King. So he's like OG, as we say. And he passed away at the beginning of the weekend. I want to say Saturday, his time. And that really made me think about being centered and what we leave behind. Again, if you're familiar with my work, if you watch any of the 200 or so episodes we got on here, you know that I'm really about discussing legacy. And not just like a financial legacy or I made this business, I'm going to pass it on to my kids. I got 2 little kids, so I'm of that mindset, but also legacy as far as what's going to be still here when I'm gone. And with Thich Nhat passing away, it's kind of that reset where it's like, wow, like how much time am I wasting worried about drama or this or that when it could be a wrap at any minute? Wrap as in it could be over, right? And he happened to have a long life, but we're not guaranteed that at all. The second thing that happened, which I was not expecting, is I actually had a stressful conversation this morning. And it was a service provider and they weren't listening to me. And I was probably listening about 60%. and it dropped down. And after we had our back and forth, the main thing I could say was, I hope, thank you. And I hope you have a better day. And they were like, thank you. And that was it. Like at the end of the day, to paraphrase a poet, and I forgot who said it. If you know, throw it in the comments. But they basically said, we're all trying to walk each other home. So essentially, all we're trying to do is get through the day. And I don't mean that like you're having such a rough day. I mean, with the stressors, with the challenges, with the balance, again, I'm a parent. I'm the primary caregiver of my partner and I's 2 kids. They're 8 and 5. We're going through a pandemic. We're about to hit the 3-year anniversary or third year of sheltering in place. That I talked about in recent videos. But I mean, even before that, there's certain stressors. And we all have our stuff. And so even though I was going back and forth with the service provider, and I didn't feel like I was being listened to at all, and I kind of spiraled. at the end of the day, it's like we're all just trying to do our jobs and do the best we can and take care of each other. And if you come from that standpoint, then suddenly you start to calm down. And again, I was not in a good mood when I was on the phone earlier. And I mean just a handful of minutes ago. And it was funny to have this topic. And it's like, wow, I need to hear this topic too. So blessings to Thin Nhat Hanh, and to his extended family, chosen and otherwise. But yeah, but it got me on the thought as far as how can we get centered? And when I'm on top of things, I meditate every morning. I go for long walks. Sounds like a dating profile, but I meditate every morning. I go for long walks. I like having quiet, which is hard, which is hard with all the kids at home, and my partner who's going through her own stuff because she works from home at this moment too. But it's not about necessarily having these habits or these practices and having to keep them up. It's more about what happens when something gets under your craw. Like that's different. And that's what we're going to discuss today. I have 3 or 4 books. I think I decided on 4 books. There's a lot of books I can recommend, but I think I decided on 4 that on my particular journey, again, I don't think I mentioned that. I'm a coach. So I'm a one-on-one coach, and I've one-on-one coached hundreds of people now who are trying to, again, remix their career. Shout out to the new book, etc. These are some of the tools I've sent to them and help, and that's helped our conversation. So, excuse me, the longest prelude ever, but I wanted to make sure you understood that it's me not trying to preach to you as far as how you can get yourself centered, but that, pardon my French, I'm actually going through this shit too. And so hopefully we can help each other do it together by walking each other home. All right. So here are the things that I recommend. First one, which I already spoiled it. No Mud, No Lotus. As I mentioned in a recent video, shout out to my partner who is a friend of hers who got the book. She's had the book forever. I saw it on her bookshelf. We got a lot of books. I got my own bookshelf. She got her own. I saw it on her bookshelf, nabbed it with permission, nabbed it a few years ago. Couldn't put it down, and it being super influential in me at that period of time. At the same time I was writing Built from Nhat. Along with, sorry, we just lost our video for a second. Looks like we're still there. Along with Career Remix. So these are Career Remix, the new one, and Built from Nhat, both pandemic books, if you want to call it that. And hopefully it'll last longer. There's so much I can say about this book, and it's tiny too, which as an author, I'm like, oh my God. It's like hearing a 2-minute song. Songs used to be a lot shorter in the 60s and the 70s. And you hear something like like Hot Fun in the Summertime by Sly and the Family Stone. Random, but follow me. And it's like 2 minutes and 12 seconds. But you listen to that, and I wasn't even born yet. And suddenly I'm on, my late grandmother's, steps right outside of her apartment in South Jersey. And, eating a cheesesteak and drinking a Tahitian treat. And they do that in 2 minutes, 12 seconds. This is the equivalent of that. In fact, respect the Sly Family Stone. That's like an understatement. This book is fantastic. Had tears in my eyes and old stuff. And he talks about quite literally this saying where the lotus plant grows in mud. So the beautiful lotus, which you'll see, I found a beautiful lotus picture. I did not take that picture. I wish I did, for the cover of this. So if you see the cover of this live, that's the lotus plant. That stuff comes from mud. We don't like the mud, but we sure like the lotus, don't we? And of course, lotus also refers to a meditation pose, which you do, we just probably in Western society just call that meditation pose. The pose I do, again, when I'm in a good space every morning to meditate for a few minutes. You got to go through some stuff to have the beauty. You got to have the rain to have the rainbow. If you keep that in mind, again, if I didn't get into a cantankerous, we'll say cantankerous. If I didn't get into a cantankerous conversation with a service provider right before we got on this thing, the insight, hopefully insight that I have to help you on your journey wouldn't be as sharp. Like you see it on my face, like I'm still like annoyed at the conversation. but having that level of honesty wouldn't have been possible if everything felt fine. The books we're talking about today are not about when everything feels fine. Everything does not feel fine right now for a lot of us. This is one of those books that you want to have on your shelf, period, point blank, end of story. If you want to learn more about Thich, Nhat, and Hanh, check out my recent video that I did. Like I said, he passed away on early Saturday morning, late Friday night, West Coast time. And I was moved. And so I ended up doing a recent Bring Your Worth one, and to, and to be able to record what I was feeling at the moment. And that quote that is like fantastic, I want to make sure I shared that. It's so important to capture what people do while their legacy is still fresh. And so I also wanted to honor him. It's a short video, like most of my shows. There's actually a longer one that you're watching right now. It's a short video like most of my shows, and it's about 11 minutes long. How this one quote, when I read it and when I thought about it years ago, again, 3-4 years ago, when I was reading it, how it informed my decisions to be a creator as an entrepreneur, particularly now in these pandemic times. Sounds very, very middle-aged, right? Right? It's very dark ages. But in these pandemic times, this quote is even more relevant. And again, I was exposed to this book a handful of years ago, really got into it during the pandemic, which is when I was writing my previous latest book from a year ago, Built From Now, and wanting to create something bigger. So that's my first recommendation. Second recommendation is Upstream by Dan Heath. I do not have a physical copy. I've been really into audiobooks, which I'll do a later episode about that. Fantastic book. Upstream is essentially this. When we have issues and systemic breakdowns, we usually are reacting. People are getting killed in a particular situation, whether it's a racial thing, as we saw summer before last, unfortunately, with Breonna Taylor, Aubrey, and so on. And then we're like reacting to that, or there's a lot of people that are getting hurt at a particular intersection. So we try to fix it after the fact. Upstream thinking is saying, why don't we stop the problem before it even occurs? I'm really into systems. Again, I had a chaotic morning. Excuse me. I had a chaotic morning, partially because of the service providers issue. I had a chaotic morning. Excuse me. But I've done almost 50 of these live episodes with y'all. So I started the show 13, 14 months ago, and almost every Wednesday, I took a little bit of a break over the summer because I traveled to TED and did some other stuff, but almost every Wednesday I've showed up for y'all. So I've done this live thing about 50 times, Wednesdays, consecutively. Probably did about 30 in a row, took a break, and then did a bunch more in a row, took a break, and now I'm back doing the Wednesdays. And so my system was already set up. So a little bit of chaos with the service provider and however I was feeling this morning and all that stuff. It didn't matter because at 11:30, I'm here with y'all. But that's because I have a system in place. If I didn't have a system in place, then I'd be trying to get the videos together. I got to get Amazon together, wear my books. I got to, comb my hair. I don't have much hair, but you understand what I'm saying? These systems allowed me to pass over any issues that I had no idea were coming this morning because they didn't matter because I already have my system in place. That's the argument in Upstream. Part of centeredness, I believe, is having systems in place. They don't need to be rigid. They don't need to be fixed. In fact, the more fluid the systems you have, the better, which he gets into in the book. I have several videos about that if you end up catching the channel. I was really into this book probably about 6 months ago. So if you go to my channel, youtube.com/BrownDamon, you look up Damon Brown Habits, or I actually have a playlist. I totally forgot. I have a playlist if you go to youtube.com/BrownDamon on best or great systems and habits. And it's part of that chain. Check it out. It's about an hour and a half worth of videos. It's about 12 videos on there. All of them super short, again, like 10 minutes long. And I talk a lot more about what Dan Heath talks about. But it's a fascinating book. I read it, again, probably about a year ago, right after I did Built From Now. And it really informed the new book, Career Remix. It really made me think about my own systems. And if you have those systems in place and you have that framework, it's easier to be centered because you're not worried about it. When I was on the phone with the service provider and I was having these issues and that issues and all that stuff, I wasn't worried about seeing y'all because I already have a system. So I was like, all right, as long as my behind is on there, I didn't say behind, as long as my behind is on there at 11:29, I'm good. And it's like, but I don't have to worry about anything else. Got everything in order. If you have things in order, then you give Slack, which is the word that he used, not the app that was bought by Microsoft, Slack as far as literally being able to have space and flexibility, then you're able to find that centeredness in yourself. I was able to spend a few minutes getting myself centered before seeing y'all and not worrying about scrambling and getting on, right? Essential. Love the book. I can recommend it higher. Shout out to Dan Heath. I have not met you, but know that I am a fan and I've been talking you up. A good video or pairing with that, if you look at it like a sommelier, excuse me, is how to decide your career. I talk a little bit about the Career Remix stuff in there, even though this was before Career Remix came out. I think I might mention the book briefly in there. But it's really about systems, habits, and how you figuring out your career. The process and the journey is a lot easier if you have things in place. But if you don't have things in place, if you don't have a support network, if you don't have an inner and an outer network, I had a conversation with the coach, Dory Clark. Shout out to you. Hope to connect with you soon. About 2 weeks ago on her Newsweek channel, you go to youtube.com/Brown Damon. If you go through all the Bring Your Worth episodes, it would have been probably about 12 episodes ago. It happened on December 28th. Live conversation, just like we're doing now. But we're talking about having inner systems within the job that you have and outer systems, which have nothing to do with the job that you have, but where you want to go. Kind of like people saying that your network should be based on what you want to be, not who you are now. Same vibe. If you want to be a millionaire, you should hang out with millionaires, have millionaire habits, not have thousandaire habits, right? I love the term thousandaire because a lot of us are thousandaires. Why don't we get props? All right. Excuse me. The next book I'd recommend. I'm cracking myself up today. The next book I'd recommend is Comfortable with Uncertainty by Pema Chodron. Another Buddhist monk. I like Buddhism a lot. So there's a little bit of a lean in that. But a lot of stuff that she talks about applies to it. And Comfortable with Uncertainty. Whew. I talked about that book many times. And I got into it, excuse me, I got into it about 2 decades ago when I was in New Orleans. And within a year of me moving to New Orleans is when Katrina happened. So me reading it at that time and it being instrumental with me learning how to handle chaos, particularly if you're here in the States, it was brutal. You know what I mean? And I was safe. My family was safe. Luckily, I had the resources to get out properly. I know folks that didn't. So that's a blessing. At the same time, though, there's trauma related to that. There's trauma related to what we're going through right now as a world, as a nation, even just here in Vegas as a city. We're going through it. This book will help you with that. And it's been by my side. Actually, lent it out to someone who's having a tough time now. I hope that it's getting you to where you need to be. But my copy is like dog-eared. Again, you can probably still smell the New Orleans rain. It rains every day in New Orleans. And you probably still smell the New Orleans rains in it. And it is dog-eared. Highly recommend it. Also a very short book that you can read quickly. And the chapter is about 2 or 3 pages, similar to the next book I'm going to recommend. So pick it up when you need it. I certainly do. You need it on your shelf. Excuse me. I talk about something similar with how to organize your life right now. You know what I mean? And so with this, you have to figure out how to make the best of what you have right now. That's why my last book before Career Remix is called Built From Now. And as some folks are saying in the comments, which unfortunately my comments aren't working right now, but there is a lot of craziness and chaos going around at the moment. Thank you, Grant, for your feedback. And you're right. If you think about it, though, there's always chaos and craziness happening, like forever. I love history. You look back, it's like this is mild compared to some stuff, right? And there's definitely so-called better times, but it's never to get back to like the work that I try to do, there's never an opportune time to start a business, ever. Just like if you have kids, there's never an opportune time to have kids, ever. It's not cost effective. It's not easy. I know you parents are like nodding your head, and I have great kids. I got a great partner. I got a great support network. Shit is hard. It's always going to be hard. It's not saying it's not meant to be easy, but it's not going to get easier when certain things go in your favor. And I've talked about that a lot in Career Remix. Again, the links are below. So I feel like doing my audiobook now. I can't wait for y'all to hear my audiobook. It'll be coming out soon in a couple months. So very excited about that. Y'all be the first to know. But, I just went through the whole book and did the audiobook, like I said, 2 weeks ago. And there's whole passages where I talk about that, where there's no ideal time, and sometimes ends up holding us back. And in fact, that actually, flips back to my favorite Thich, Nhat, and Hanh quote. So I just did a video about it the other day. Check out the video if you feel overwhelmed in these times, which a lot of us do. Like I said, I'm always going to be real with y'all. I'm overwhelmed right now too. So his discussion, and it's from No Mud, No Lotus, will be good with this. But with Pema Chodron, check out the How to Organize Your Life right now. Because sometimes we feel chaos. We feel chaos. I didn't even mean it like that, but it makes more sense. We feel chaos because we're not sure what we should focus on. It feels crazy because we're not sure where our direction should be. So I talk about and build from now, our focus, our agility, our time, and our energy. We don't know where we're supposed to put it. The more centered we can get as far as the work we do, how we show up in the world, again, as the late monk talked about, the legacy that we live, how we connect to each other. Again, reminding ourselves, even in the most frustrating conversations or moments, that we're all just trying to walk each other back home we're all trying to get centered. I don't think there's anyone that really doesn't want to be centered. So we're all trying our best. Hopefully some of these videos, and particularly these books, because not even my work, but the work that I'm highlighting, will help you find that centeredness. And once you find that centeredness, it's not like it's going to resolve the craziness, the chaos, whatever terms you want to use. Like, it's not like it's going to resolve it. It's not going to go away. You're not going to, I have a meditation pad over here. I'm not going to meditate after I get off the show with y'all. And then suddenly, the pandemic's over and there's world peace. That's not going to happen. But if I can get centered in myself, then, pardon my French, the shit that I put out will have a level of purity, of honesty, of intention, just like I'm trying to give to y'all now. Just like I'm being real. Like, I'm not in the best mood right now because I had a bad conversation this morning, but I'm still showing up for y'all because my intention is that focused. We're still going to do a show. I'm still going to give y'all my best because that's why I'm here. And if you remember why you're here, first of all, know why you're here, and then remember why you're here, then chaos and whatever can happen. It doesn't mean you're going to live forever. It doesn't mean you're going to be fine. It doesn't mean that you're going to be centered every day. But you damn sure can get back to that grounded place faster. All the books I'm recommending, mine to a lesser extent, but if you want to grab my book, please do. But the books that I'm really highlighting today get me there fast. That's what we're talking about today. Listen, I'm almost at a half an hour. I could gab about this all day. You can tell this is my jam. This is stuff that I coach. So you guys got me in my zone. I appreciate the comments too and the love in the chats. Sorry, unfortunately, my chat thing isn't working, so I'm not able to highlight it. But Grant, thank you for your comments, and for the other folks that are putting in comments too over on Amazon and other platforms. All right, the last book I recommend, which I don't have a physical copy of because I love the audiobook, is Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselmann. If you've been a long watcher of the show, long time watcher, first time caller, then this book was influential. Excuse me, in me doing my own book. The Ultimate Bite-Sized Entrepreneur, which is the one that really set me on this path, which came out, just had the 5th anniversary. So it came out about 5.5 years ago, PM bestseller. Thanks y'all for that. Again, without y'all, I wouldn't be on this journey at all. And the subtitle is something like 366 Ways to Be Mindful, something like that. I'm butchering it. It was so influential and so good because I got into it. I think it came out a few years before I became a parent, or right around the time that my first kid was born. Again, he's going to be 9 this summer. This was a while ago. And really brief history, I had my wife went back to work. I'm a stay-at-home dad for the first time, and I was doing my first startup called So Quotable, which was a precursor to Cuddler. Cuddler is the one that ended up going number one and really established me as a founder and as a creator. But before that, it was So Quotable, and I was being app founder for the first time, no entrepreneurship background at all, and I'm trying to be a dad, nevertheless a stay-at-home dad. And I got my little guy, and he's just pooping all over the place, getting him to eat. And I still have a freelance career. I was already writing books at the time, trying to put food on the table, along with my partner, who was super supportive of that. And it was just chaos. Speaking of chaos, shout out to the chaos comment earlier. And this book was one of the first books that I got into as an audiobook, because my hands had to be used to take care of my kid. If you got little kids, I know some of y'all that are watching have little kids now, like really little kids, particularly when they start moving, you have to have one hand available for them. So I couldn't sit and read. I couldn't be like this. And then my busy 4-month-old is like, trying to pull down a glass jar over in the kitchen or whatever the case may be. You're a little bit older, but you understand what I'm getting at. This book, you can listen to it, literally listen to a chapter in 2 minutes. And that's what I had every morning to myself, was 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh, I can do this. And I've listened to the entire book. You're supposed to listen to it over the course of a year. I've listened to the entire audiobook at least 3 or 4 times. So every morning, like a cup of tea, I drink cha, cup of cha, like listen to them for 2 minutes. That's why this book is so important, because that's what I'm trying to provide for y'all. Again, with the Bring Your Worth show, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's episodes are from as short as 5 minutes. I have some 1-minute episodes if you're really pressed for time, but of course they link to longer content. I have 1-minute videos, and I have videos that are like 15 minutes. And if that's what you can spare, then I hope to get you to that level. That's what Ryan and Stefan have done for me. I've talked with Stefan briefly online. Shout out to him. I've not met Ryan, but I appreciate your work. But it's phenomenal. Just get it. All these books, just get it. If you can afford it, just grab them, particularly if you're worried about being centered. Again, with the chaos happening. It sounds very ominous. Sounds like the Matrix or something. If you want to learn more about the Daily Stoic, and one of the key points I got from it, and that's driven my life, I don't mean my career, my life, check out this short video. I think this video is like 7 minutes long. The Stoic Secret to Success. Got a lot of good feedback on it. I've sent this over to my coaching clients with my private coaching practice over at, again, damonbrown.net. You can learn more about me over there. But it really can help reframe. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, I'm loquacious today, but I'm trying to find the right word. The purpose of all these books is to reframe. It's not to fix the problems of the world, but you eventually might, That's why I'm a coach. Like, I believe in you. But that's not the purpose. The purpose isn't to fix everything. The purpose is to reframe how you're viewing everything. And that makes it different. Again, to bring it full circle, when I was talking to the service provider, and I could tell we both were miffed, as we used to say, or as more like my grandmother used to say. Sounds very Golden Girls. Shout out to Betty White. We're both miffed and annoyed. But in the day, it's like, I hope your day goes better. You take care. What else is there? You talk about the money, you talk about the posturing with the position that you have, your title. You can talk about, my company got acquired. You can talk about, your company being sold. Talk about bestsellers, whatever. A lot of that, it matters. I'm proud of it. I got my books behind me. I mentioned that I've sold my company. I have pride in that. But at the end of the day, the car you drive, whatever, as we learned in the last 2 years, or been reminded over the last 2 years, that shit doesn't matter. All the books that I'm talking about right now remind you that it doesn't matter. We're here healthy enough to function. I'm pretty healthy. I know a lot of you are going through health stuff, but you're healthy enough to watch and listen to me. That is a blessing. I know some folks that are really going through it right now. So shout out to y'all. And when you go through stuff like that, you're reminded of that. And again, the Daily Stoic, no mud, no Lotus. Upstream, which is more practical, but I think it'd help you, and Comfortable with Uncertainty are all books that take it there. And yeah, I hope this gives you a little bit of peace, at least for the half an hour that we've been talking. The new book is Career Remix: Get the Gig You Want based on the skills you got, with the skills you got. I think we changed the title. Sorry. You know the name of it now. You don't care about the subtitle. The main title is Career Remix. Thanks for the love. Again, just had a launch a few days ago. Audiobook is coming soon. As soon as I know and can give you a little preview of it, I'm on it. Again, it's the Bring Your Worst show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you like the stuff that I was talking about and that we were talking about, thank you for all the commentary. Even though I wasn't able to show it, I apologize. But the stuff that we were talking about and that y'all shared and I was sharing, we have 200 episodes of that. So if you're digging it, subscribe. It's free. It's me trying to help you get to where you need to be so that you can make the impact that you need to make. I think it ends right there. Anyway, much love to y'all wherever you happen to be, and good health. Remember, you can always bring your worth, and you can always build from now. You take care. I'll see you next week.